Morning.
Eddie. Firstly, could we check on Sandro Tonali, who was substituted at half-time the other night, and you mentioned after the match that there was an injury there, so how is he doing?
He's had a scan. We don't think it's too bad, so we'll give him every chance to declare himself fit, if possible.
What type of injury was it?
I think it was a knock, very similar to Joe Linton suffered sort of a similar fate, sort of dead leg type feeling, but Sandro felt it was concerning enough for him to get scanned. We'll see how he is today, and give him every chance to be fit.
And what's the latest with Sven Botman?
Sven has had, I believe, an injection in his back. I haven't actually seen him personally since the Tottenham game. I think he's had an injection, and we hope that will bring about his return quite quickly. But now I think there's a time period for his injection to work, which I think is around about a week, and then we see how he is.
And how close are you to being able to name Yoane Wissa in a matchday squad for the first time?
Getting closer. We're getting closer. We did 11v11 game, sort of for him on trying to get my days right Wednesday. And that was good. That was more minutes for him, around about half an hour. He did well. So, we'll sort of see how he is today.
I know you won't want to jinx it, but has he come through everything so far okay? Because obviously the fear will be, one of the fears will be re-injury, won't it?
Touch wood, Razor. He's so far he's looked good and he's come through everything. But I always say in these situations, we still have training today, and we've got to make a decision as to whether he's ready to not just be fit, but fit to make a difference and fit to perform to his highest levels.
How much of a frustration this season has losing points from winning positions been? Because it happened the other night, of course, which was really difficult to take. And there've been a few other instances, Arsenal at home and the 2 away matches in London last month, is perhaps a bit of an unwanted trend there. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's been really painful for us because I feel we've lost a lot of points in that respect, and also there's a psychological blow that happens when you do that, and we've done it too many times. Set plays against Arsenal, a set play again against Tottenham, or 2 set plays, one was the second phase, frustrating. All we can do is work on it and try and put it right. I don't think there's any mysterious sort of consequence or reason for that underneath. I think it's just the game of football is built on random events, and you're looking for patterns and trends all the time. I don't think there's something fundamentally wrong, but we can certainly do better in that respect, and all we can do is do the work and, as I say, try and get the players to execute it better.
And because every match is different, every opponent is different, every kind of passage or piece of play is different. When you talk there about events in the games, what sort of things can you do when it comes to game management or closing a result out?
Yeah, well, I think the rules the Premier League have brought in to quicken the game up, and I think it's made it a better spectacle, in my opinion. That means game management that you talk about becomes a bit more difficult, whether that's delaying of free kicks, or if a player goes off injured, they can't come back onto the pitch. So I think that's been a really healthy thing for the game, but also means that you're limited really in terms of what you can do in those moments. I think from our perspective, we just have to defend better in individual moments. Certainly the set play perspective, I've just named 4 goals that we've conceded from different games, and they're big moments. And set plays win your games, lose your games, and we've been on the wrong end.
Last one, how nice will it be to see Martin Dúbravka again this weekend? He's played every match for Burnley and done very well by all accounts, but you'll be hoping he doesn't have a stormer against you tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unbelievable professional, a very good goalkeeper. I think long before I came to the club, he sort of etched his name into legend status really here for what he did for such a long period of time, and how dependable and reliable he was for the football club in difficult moments. So, he comes back, and I'm sure he'll get a warm welcome from all the supporters. I probably won't get to see him because that's just the nature of my job, being hooked away by Lee as soon as the game ends. But I think, he deserves a warm welcome. But I think when it comes to the game, of course, we have to hope he has a busy afternoon.
Thank you. Keith?
Morning, Eddie. Has it been a frustrating couple of days for you, or have you managed to, like, because you normally park things quite well, have you managed to brush it off, or is that one kind of lingered?
A bit of a mixture of both, really. I think we have to move on, and we have to move on quickly, especially this season with the games. You can't linger in negativity for any long period of time. Certainly there was a feeling of big frustration on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, and then of course the preparation starts for a new game. We review the game that's just happened. It's a lot of good, especially in the first half. I thought there was a lot of good in the respect that we pinned Tottenham in, we created some good chances. That first goal was probably too long in coming, but in saying that, we did get it, and then we didn't navigate that last period of the game well at all.
Do you think, is it anything to do with the schedule, the amount of games you've got? Is there maybe like a little bit of maybe mental fatigue like creeping in there for the players late on in games when they're trying to hold on to things rather than maybe going for the second or the third goal to put it out of sight?
I think that may have been the case. Not the fatigue in terms of not being aggressive enough and attacking enough in previous games. I think in this one it was difficult because I think when we scored the second goal, there's minimal time left in the game. And of course, you'd love to score another goal, but I think Tottenham got a set play soon after we scored, and you've just got to defend them. And it's easier said than done, of course, because every set play is a challenge. But we consider ourselves strong enough, certainly tall enough, robust enough to deal with those situations. But we got the details wrong in a couple of moments, and it hurt us.
And I know you spoke about Yoane a little bit there, but everywhere you go in Newcastle, all people want to know is when's Yoane Wissa back. It feels like there's a sort of desperation from the fan base to see him, and he's really going to help. Do you feel that as well, that once he returns, it's going to give everyone a little bit of a shot in the arm because it's been such a long wait and they've yet to see him kick off?
Yeah, I think it will be a big boost for us. I think a big boost for the squad to have someone of his experience, calibre, quality back in the group. I think we've just got to be sort of mindful of the length of time that he's been out and the lack of training he's had, because normally we'd want to give him more before we put him back onto the pitch, but I think in our situation at the moment, I'm not sure we've got that grace to do that. So I think he's a quality player. We've seen that in training already. We've seen the difference he can make. His movement's excellent. He's a very good finisher, and he is vastly experienced. So I think the transition time to a new team should be less, but it's really his fitness is and match sharpness and match readiness is the concern that we have, and making sure that we enter him at the right time. And
you'll be relieved that he's not going away to play in the African Cup of Nations. I know obviously it was getting towards that stage where he could potentially be called up. Is that something that you've managed to sort out with Congo yourselves, or is that something that did he want to feel that he wanted to play here and show his best for Newcastle to start with?
Yeah, I think with the way this season's gone and how he's been feeling, I think his priority at the moment was to make sure he concentrates purely on his fitness and he has no other distractions or pressures to be fit. We're trying to make the right decisions for him on a daily basis. We've planned his comeback from a long time out, just to try and get him ready in the quickest time possible, but also when he is ready and able to take the load. So we're confident we can do that.
Andy?
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Sorry, I'm going to ask you another one about Yoane Wissa. How sharp has he looked in these 11v11 games, and how ready at the moment as we sit here do you think he is to make at least the squad at Newcastle? Yeah, he's looked good. I think we've seen all the qualities that we saw at Brentford. His movement is very good. He's quick, he's sharp, he's got that low centre of gravity. And I think already you can see he'll build good relationships with the players around him. So yeah, I've been really happy with what he's done. As I say, it's is he at 100% best physical condition? Probably not, but I think that will take some time. I think it's similar with other players that come back from injury. You've seen Lewis Hall going down with cramp towards the end of games. Ideally with Lou, we'd probably have had longer to build him up, but we don't have that luxury. So many games that we need the squad fit and ready, and hopefully Yoane will have a big part to play. Just on another player, I saw a stat the other day. Newcastle United haven't won a game that Bruno Guimarães hasn't started in since he made his first start for the club. Has Bruno now become, I use this word quite lightly, but has Bruno become Newcastle's talisman almost?
It's not a good stat. Is it you that keeps coming up with these ones?
No, I nicked that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is. I mean, I think he's obviously our captain. He leads the team really well. He's a big player. He's the heartbeat of our team. And I think his biggest strength is that he wants the ball in every moment, whether we're winning, losing, under pressure, enjoying the ball, the dominant team. He's that player that gravitates to the ball, and that's so important. You've got players that can really make the difference technically, and he helps us a lot in our build-up. He helps a lot in the final third. Great to see him scoring the other night, and the way that he celebrated the goal as well is true, typical Bruno. So I think he's an inspirational figure. Of course, I've got to try and help him and manage him as well. So with our game schedule, we have to try and at the right moments give him a breather, but for a couple of reasons. One, for his long-term availability, but also his performances.
Just on David Hopkinson, there were some really ambitious comments this week that I'm sure you're aware of. What did you make of those comments? And also, I just want to know what your kind of relationship, how well are you getting along with David and Ross Latterly as well at the moment?
Two brilliant additions to the football club, I think, both of them. I obviously have a lot more day-to-day contact with Ross than I do David because of the roles. But David's come in with a real energy and presence and, yes, ambition. I think that's a great thing for the long-term future of the football club, someone with the energy to really take the club forward. But two brilliant additions, two people that really care about Newcastle as well and are fitting in really, really well. So I think it's great news for everyone that they're here and to add their expertise.
Just finally, I know you just said there you kind of park a game, you move on to the next one. Is this one of those instances where you want the players to almost use the frustration, the anger, the clear disappointment from Tuesday against Burnley tomorrow?
Yeah, we have to use everything to inspire us and to help us and to give us renewed focus for the games ahead. That was a difficult one because you feel with such little time left we've thrown away points, but it happens and we've had it the other way around. It's seeing the longer term picture and seeing that, okay, we could look at that as a point gained in a different mindset towards the end of the season. But we're only going to do that if we get consistent results. That's 4 positive performances since the last international break. Let's look at it that way and try and win this game.
Thank you. Nisha?
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
You've spoken so much this season about your desire for consistency from your team. Does it feel like you're really close to that clicking? Because, I mean, you did everything but beat Spurs, you know, as you said, 4 positive results recently. Does it feel close?
It feels like we're moving in the right direction. I felt that definitely since the last international break, that we have come back a much better team with renewed energy, better physical performances, better body language, better delivery of what we're trying to do. More goal-mouth action, more chances created. So as long as we continue to trend in that direction, I'll be very happy. And then you have to take the ebb and flow of results because it's not always a straight line. But yeah, I've been very happy, and the consistency is what we're all searching for. I think every football manager will say the same, and hopefully the results will match.
And Harvey Barnes and Anthony Gordon, 2 great options. Barnes with his goals. Anthony Gordon made a big difference when he came on against Spurs. How do you see that battle evolving, particularly with the games that you've got coming up?
I don't look at it necessarily like that, but I understand why you would. Yeah, it's great to see. Harvey's been in a rich vein of form. I think he's been playing very well. And then you see Ant come on the pitch and deliver the kind of performance that he did in a short time. And you know that we've got 2 outstanding left wingers who can add different qualities, but in their own way, brilliant players. I think there's a versatility there that we can see them both on the same pitch, both in the team together. So all I want is to see whoever I pick play at their best levels.
Thank you.
Simon?
Morning, Eddie. You've said since the international break you've been feeling like you're on an upwards trajectory in terms of results and certainly performances. So how important is it to not let that feeling from the other night linger and to move past it and get back to where you wanted to be?
Yeah, I think we can't let anything derail us from our improved performances. I think keeping a real focus on the next game, on the next training session, and forgetting the past, whether we've won the last game, lost the last game, it's irrelevant. It's about the future. But I think we do have to learn our lessons and try and improve those things that we need to get better at.
Burnley would obviously rather have more points, and they would argue that in some respects they might be worth a few more points this season. All three of the promoted teams have actually done okay. Do you feel it's changed the competitive balance of the division this year?
It is. Well, it feels like it's one of the most competitive Premier Leagues that I've experienced. There's no easy games. Cliche, yes, but it's true. Every team we've played this year has been strong, has a clear vision, identity, and way of playing, and you know that you have to raise your game to find a way of winning. I think you see the table itself tells a story. I think it's everyone's searching for consistency, everyone's searching for back-to-back wins, and if you get them, you elevate your position, and if you don't, as we are at the moment, we're sort of wanting to move higher in the table, but we're seeking that run that will take us there.
Thank you. We'll go to Rebecca, Lee and Dom, please.
Morning, Eddie. Just on the late goals concessions, you talked about a little bit about it post-match on Tuesday, and you kind of mentioned about it being a cyclical nature and used the away goals, the away win as an example, and obviously you found a breakthrough against Everton, getting that first away win in a long, long time. I was wondering, is there anything from that process in order to be able to achieve an away win that you can be able to use in order to kind of kick this late goals concession thing, or is it just a purely psychological thing?
Well, I think, look, it's happened a few times that when you win a game, we beat Manchester City 2-1, you know, we managed that end of the game really well in a similar field to Tottenham, really. We're under pressure late in the game. There was 1 goal margin and we defended it well, and we navigated a tough situation, I thought, excellently. But obviously that won't get necessarily reflected on the same that Tottenham will, because Tottenham scored. And so it's all about moments, and you're looking for the players in that moment just to corner comes in, you know, clear the ball out the box and be decisive in our actions. And I don't think we were, and I think that led to both goals. So, as I say, we'll go away, we'll work on it. I don't see a big problem there, but obviously we've got to prove that by doing the job.
And you just mentioned Lewis Hall earlier as well, obviously saying that, you know, you maybe didn't have the luxury to have a little bit more time with him. I mean, he's been really impressive with his starts in the Premier League since the international break. Just how impressed have you been with him? Because it was another great performance on Tuesday. Yeah,
I think he's done really, really well. I think the only problem for Lou is late in games when he's started to fatigue. I'd say in the first half of the Everton game, the Tottenham game, Manchester City the same. I think he's been outstanding. And I think he's really shown his qualities. He brings a different dynamic from that position to other players that we have, a real technical, high-level technical player, but also athletically he gets forward and combines really well with the players ahead of him. So I think he can be really pleased, but we just have to navigate this next period well, because we want him to remain on the pitch, and to do that we're going to have, you know, to be careful with him, because we've got so many games and he's so important.
Thank you. Lee?
Eddie, can I just go back to a couple of years ago? There was a great picture of, I think it was Nick Pope and the back four all sort of hugging each other at the end because it kept a clean sheet. Is that the sort of spirit you want to see again, going into these crucial games, and that sort of togetherness and that mentality of being together as a unit?
Yeah, I think the defensive mentality has to be there, not just from the back four and the goalkeeper, but from the whole team. I think we have to enjoy defending collectively, which I think that year in particular, I think we did. I think we had a brilliant attitude to our defending our goal. I think the change this year will be with the amount of games that we have in our current schedule. The team will be chopping and changing. It has to. So I think then you lose that year. I think you could name the back four and the goalkeeper, and you could sort of build that consistency in performance through that very minimal changes, and they built sort of a real reputation as being a formidable four. So it's a different season, but still, whoever plays, you want them to adopt the mindset that no one passes us.
Yeah, just looking back at the sort of the great teams in the Premier League, Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, all had great sort of times on the pitch, but good times off. I know these days you kind of just go to the pub and things like that. It'd be nice if you could, but are you obviously still wearing that behind the scenes, the need to have those moments where you like sit back and enjoy things even for a little while?
Yes, that's a tough one. It's a tough one.
You want the players to get on off the pitch, of course you do, and you want them to have great relationships, almost a brotherhood feel, because I think that's what you need to be truly successful. You don't need to look at yourselves as teammates. You've got to be closer than that. You're sharing experiences with people that are so unique, that not many people get to experience. I think it's such a magical thing. So if you're going to have a really special time together, it can make it even more enjoyable. But I think the days of that kind of socialising are in the past, because we're playing every 3 days. And if we mix that in, I don't think you'd see the performances that we want. So let's keep it to being brothers rather than drinking colleagues.
Thank you. Dominic?
Morning, Eddie. You've touched on Lewis Hall, but just speaking more generally, how are your fullbacks shaping up? Tino Livramento, obviously back from injury, playing a lot of games, and then Kieran Trippier and Emil Kraft in terms of their recovery as well.
Yeah, Tino's okay, I think. He's done really well. As you say, tough for him because he's straight back in and playing a lot of minutes, but we don't have any other options in that position currently with Emil out and Kieran out, and I think they won't be back sort of any time soon, in a sense the next few games anyway. We hope to get him back towards the Christmas period. It'd be nice if we could, because it would alleviate some of the burden on Tino, but he's shouldering it really well, as is Lewis, and hopefully that can stay the case.
Just on Jacob Ramsey, you spoke a month ago about how he's in a good place, just needed to improve physically to get a run of games. Since then he hasn't started a game, and we've seen Joe Willock, Lewis Miley get opportunities. I'm just wondering what the latest is with him, why he's maybe not playing as much.
Yeah, he's doing really well, JJ. We're building him up physically, getting him to understand fully how we play. I've been very pleased with him, actually. He's a very, very good footballer, and I think we'll all see that very soon. Very composed, very rarely gives the ball away, but is creative as well. So he had a nasty ankle injury at Leeds, and when he came back, it was a case of, you could see he was a little bit short on fitness of where he needed to be to execute what we want him to. But he's getting there, and he's in a lot better place now.
Thank you. We've got a Gary, Jordan, and then Luke, please.
Morning, Eddie. Just
Morning.
to go back to Martin, we know last season was such a fairy tale in the end, but he ended up coming in and playing a role in what proved to be a pivotal part of last season. Just how big of an impact did he have, and how sad is it when a legend of the club does depart?
Yeah, he was massive for us. I mean, I think Nick got injured, and Martin came in, and the team really benefited, not necessarily from that change, but benefited in that moment from a lot of wins. I think we went on a run of, I think it was 8 or 9 wins in a row, and elevated our league position from one of difficulty to then it gave us the platform to go on and achieve what we did, and played in key games, the Arsenal games in the semi-final. So yeah, I mean, I think I spoke before about what he did before I came to the football club in difficult moments in relegation battles, and he always stood up and made a difference. And as I said, I really enjoyed working with him. I think he's an outstanding person and goalkeeper. So it'd be good to welcome him back, I'm sure, for the supporters, because I know he had a special relationship with them, and certainly he deserves a warm round of applause.
And just on David's comment in the week about Newcastle being able to challenge the best in the world by 2030, I'm sure you'll be up for the challenge of doing that, but does it add an extra pressure on you to achieve that?
I don't necessarily think it adds an extra pressure on me. I can't put more pressure on myself than I already do. No one externally can do that. I think David's come in with great ambitions, and I welcome that, and I think the club needs that. Certainly it's the only way to push the club forward. We need everyone to have that same mindset and to adopt a winner's mentality in everything that we're delivering. Of course, we've got loads of work to do, whether that's the training ground. You could go right through the club and go, well, if we want to be the best, we've got huge amount of work to turn over to get there. But you need to start at that point and having the mindset to be the best, and then you need to go and do the work to do it. And I think that's what David's going to try and do. I'm fully behind it, and obviously I've got to play my part. But in terms of the pressure or the outside pressure, I can't put more than I do already.
Okay. Jordan?
More than Eddie. In terms of the Premier League table, you're 12th, but only 4 points below 5th. Do you expect the table to stay tight this season, or will it eventually even out? And if it does, how important is it you're on the right side of that?
I've got no idea. But that's a tough one, that. As I say, you never quite know from season to season how the table will look. I do think it possibly could stay tight because I don't see a lot between the teams. I see any game you couldn't really call. It's one of those seasons where anyone could beat anybody, and that's the strength of the Premier League. That's why the league's so good. From our part, we're looking for a run of wins. A run of wins makes all the difference. You talk about the points gap. We're well aware it's so close, so tight. And I think Aston Villa have gone on a great run and elevated themselves to a really good position, and we have to look to do the same. We're capable of doing it, but we can't keep talking about it. I think we've made a good return after this international break in terms of Premier League results, and that's what we're looking to continue.
Yeah, obviously it's a big week. The time we had Derby to come next week, and I just wondered how does that impact your team selection going forward for the next 2 games with that game in mind, or is it just full focus on these next 2? Yeah,
I think I always have a half an eye on the future, but I think the priority is always the next game. So of course you're looking at 2-3 games ahead and going, well, you're sort of trying to move players around and seeing where you can give players a break and seeing where you can't. That game's on the horizon. We know how important it is, but at the moment we've got 2 big games before.
Thank you. I'll go to Luke next.
I've been weighing up whether to ask this or not, but I'm not going to. I've just noticed you and Lee have got exactly the same haircut.
Wow. You're back on hair again?
Back on hair. After your cruel bald jokes last week.
Was that it? Is that your question? Right,
no,
cut him off.
You're going to the same barber though.
Cut him off, please.
Right, I've got a proper question. Can I
Turn
be
his
direct?
mic off, Chris.
Will I be a direct?
Sorry?
Is Yoane Wissa going to be on the bench tomorrow?
That is very direct.
That's very direct.
And I'm giving myself a little bit of time just to pause to see how I answer it. I don't know. Let's wait and see. I actually don't know because we have a training session today and I'll assess all the players.
Okay. David's comments were really, he is very energetic, very effervescent in what he said, and we enjoyed speaking to him. Is it realistic in a 5-year time frame for Newcastle United to be considered one of the top clubs in the world, in your view?
I don't think that's necessarily one for me to go into the meat and bones and try and break that down. I think I back what David said in terms of being aggressive, being ambitious, trying to streamline everything and make it quicker. We all want success tomorrow. I think as long as we're making very, very good decisions short term for the long term, that's fine. I think we then need to back it up. So it's, having that plan to be the best, that's great, but then we need to act like we're the best in every way to achieve that goal. So I think we've got a lot of work to do to get there. Whether we can do it in that time period, who knows? But I think having the ambition of doing it is a good thing.
One of the things he really wants to focus on is turbocharging commercial revenues. And we know, and you've been in Premier League football for long enough to know that the richest clubs tend to have the most success. So you must welcome that focus and that drive to increase the amount of money ultimately that you're going to have to spend on fees and wages. Yeah,
well, I think it all goes hand in hand. It's revenue, and as you say, there's a big correlation between wages and success. I think my job is to try and sort of reverse that if we can, is to try and get success without necessarily spending the most amount of money, and that comes from being really smart in everything you're doing. But I think then reverting back to the club, and we need better facilities, we need better ways of working. So I think what David's talking about is trying to improve everything that we're delivering from top to bottom and finding the extra percent you need for true success. And it's not just about one season, it's about being successful every season. And to do that is very, very difficult, but that's the challenge.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Chris?
Well, Eddie, England still haven't taken another wicket, just so you're aware. Nick Pope, where's he at in terms of when is he likely to be available again?
Yeah, slightly unknown at the moment. Not on a serious injury, not a long-term one, but enough to keep him out for probably the next 2 to 3 weeks. Probably looking around Christmas time again for him. I think we've got a sort of a glut of players are looking at that around Christmas return. If we can shave a bit of time off that and he can come back earlier, then great, but that's the plan at the moment.
And how do you think Aaron Ramsdale's performed so far? Obviously waited for his Premier League chance and he's got it the last couple of games.
Yeah, I think he's done well. I think it's always very difficult to come straight into the team, especially in such a pivotal position. But Everton, I thought he did very, very well. Tottenham, I thought he did well. I think, again, commanded his box well, distributed the ball well. Didn't really have a lot to do. They had 2 shots on target and scored 2 goals, so that's an unfortunate thing for him, but I don't think he can be blamed for either goal.
Thanks, Chris. Sean, to finish.
Morning, Eddie. We spoke to Ross Wilson as well as David Hopkinson on Monday, and he said that there might be some more value in signing players from abroad rather than Premier League players. How aligned are you with that vision? And secondly, how important is it going to the January transfer window that you've got a sporting director in place that you didn't necessarily have in the summer?
Yeah, I think that's very, very wise from Ross. I think that's something that we've tried to utilise the foreign market without probably having the expertise in previous seasons that we need to make consistently good decisions in those markets. I think the foreign players that we have signed from other leagues have done really, really well. So certainly a route and an avenue that I'd back and I'd support. But of course, you need the network, you need the people in the right places to help that process. I think Ross will give us all of that. He'll use his vast experience and build up his team and his method of work. He certainly made a really impressive start here, and not having a sporting director last summer was hugely detrimental to what we were trying to do. So to have all those positions now filled is a huge relief.
And just on Fabian Schär, he said before the Tottenham game in the matchday programme that he's been a bit frustrated that he hasn't been in the team. Obviously, he's a player who's done tremendously well for Newcastle over the years, and actually the circumstances in which he came up the team, he's probably a bit unlucky. How valuable do you still see him as part of your squad, and how important of a role does he still have to play this season?
Yeah, Fabian's an outstanding player, and has been for me for a long period of time. Very, very consistent and dependable and reliable. Every player that's not playing will be frustrated and will be anxious to get back into the team. All I can say to any of them is when they're picked, they need to perform, and Fabian has done. And he's training very well behind the scenes. He's been ultra professional, so I've been really pleased.